Hi there everyone, it is now the 30th of November 2011. Meteorologist Robert Spett here with you today on your Western Pacific, and also we're going to take a look at Australia here in the weather update. For the Western Pacific though, we do have an area of low pressure moving across Korea and heading off towards Japan today. This is on the northern edge of a high pressure that's going to be pushing in from the north. That's going to be bringing cooler temperatures out across much of Japan and even extending down towards Taiwan by the mid part of this week, with the next cold surge coming in with that. So going to be seeing some gusty winds down towards the Ryukyu Islands. We'll talk more about that in a second, but for right now, if we take a closer look here at northern Japan, we see some more snow working its way in here as well, with these northwesterly winds moving towards the southeast across the Tsushima current. So actually on radar imagery here around Sapporo, seeing some snow showers right now throughout that entire area, all associated with this banding, and actually expecting this to increase as that low moves off here towards the east, and those winds continue to persist out of the northwest. So definitely going to be a snowy weekend here, or excuse me, a snowy week up to the weekend across much of northern Japan, extending down towards the south. But let's look at the model guidance for this particular area, and I'll show you one way I can define if this is going to be snow or rainfall. And that is by using this GFS model outlook that I tend to use here on a daily basis. But there's one factor in here I usually don't talk about very often, and that is this, the 540 line. This is the upper level heights in here, and the 528 line. And typically meteorologists use this 540 line as where you start to see that rainfall turn in the wet snow in the 528. Up north of that position right in here, you tend to see precipitation fall in the snow. There is some cases where it doesn't usually happen like that, but for the most part, anything north of that 528 line, you're going to be seeing snowfall out there. So by Wednesday and this Thursday, you see that dipping well south of Hokkaido here. It does push off back on Friday though, as the next low pressure moves through. You're going to see some warm air advection, but by the weekend, you're going to see it start to pull back down towards the south, associated with the next cold front. So on Saturday and the Sunday, you're going to be seeing more snow come through this entire region up here towards the north as the next low pushes through. And actually, while I have this up, we are expecting another low developing here on Saturday. You're going to be seeing some heavy rainfall Friday and the Saturday. It's all coming off of a trough of low pressure pushing through this entire area behind the next high pressure. So really, you have this low coming through now, as shown here. You have the next high dipping down towards the south, and then behind that, another low developing. That's typical westerly weather out here. But also associated with that, we continuing to see the easterlies down here towards the south. By this weekend, associated with that developing low pushing off towards the northeast, you're going to be seeing rainfall across the Philippines as well, just associated with the troughing with that. So looks like a pretty clear week throughout the rest of the week, but by the latter part, Friday and the Saturday for you in the Philippines, you'll see that increase in rain. And speaking of that cold air pushing in from the north though, check out some of these temperatures in central China. -5 and -4 out here towards the west, and even over Japan for the low over the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing a low of 5 degrees here in the Tokyo region, with 1 up in Seoul. So near freezing temperatures across those regions, and definitely below freezing off towards the north. And well south of here, ahead of this cold surge, you're still seeing those lows in about the mid-20s off towards the Philippines, and even as far south as the Indonesia region. But overall though, definitely seeing the onset of that cold air pushing towards the south with these temperatures. And now let's shift our view towards the south here, where we have a rather impressive system over much of southeastern Australia here, over much of New South Wales, even extending off here towards Queensland. We're seeing severe thunderstorms warning out here. Actually, in portions of New South Wales, all associated with this big area of convection rate in here, is a severe thunderstorm warning being posted by the Bureau of Meteorology. And actually, if we zoom in on the radar imagery of Sydney, you can see these rather impressive storms moving across the region. Some areas up in here indicated in the reds and yellows. Those are meaning heavy areas of precipitation. Also could be some severe lightning out there as well. So definitely a rather dangerous situation on portions of New South Wales here, as this cold front does move across the region here. So you could be seeing some localized flooding, but already, as noted, the Bureau of Meteorology has posted severe thunderstorm warnings up and down this region as well. Now with that said, this low is expected to eventually push off towards the east here, eventually hitting New Zealand, and especially on the western portions of New Zealand, have been seeing some severe flooding out in that region as well. So definitely need to watch this by the mid to latter part of this week. But I pulled up the satellite imagery one more time because I do want to talk about the monsoonal trough off here towards the north, especially with tropical cyclone season coming up here. Still continuing to watch that, seeing another burst of convection out there across the Solomon Islands, and you're starting to see this more frequently recently. So definitely encountering that that increase in potential of the tropical cyclones out there. Not quite there yet, but it is building in. So as for all the people up here in Queensland, definitely need to keep an eye off here across the Coral Sea off towards that region. And that is all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching here at WesternPacificWeather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as usual, please post them in the comment box below. And definitely really appreciate the input people have been giving me lately on what they want to hear about and what the exact areas you want me to focus in on here, since I do cover a broad spectrum of weather out here across the Western Pacific and Australia. I do really appreciate that input, so feel free to go ahead and post that. But thanks again, everybody, and stay safe out there.